This decision by Mike Tomlin has turned into one of the best we've seen in recent NFL history. He's not only better than Justin Fields was playing, he's better than Russell Wilson was playing the last few years. This is looking now like Seattle Russell Wilson.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Monster Monday presented, of course, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. You guys know that. Starting a new big-time week here on the Ross Tucker Podcast network of shows. We'll do the college draft with Emery Hunt, bright and early Monday morning. Tuesday, of course, Even Money podcast. Wednesday and Thursday, we got the Fantasy Feast. And the Ross Tucker Football Podcast is daily, including this one, which we are starting recording at 11:37 p.m. Eastern Time, shortly after the Niners-Bills Sunday Night Football game. And I'm actually in the Niners coaches booth right now because it's nice and warm in here, and so I can record with Jack and let the traffic filter out a little bit. So haven't done this in a while, Jack, but it's kind of fun to be able to broadcast from the stadium right after the game and get into it with you a little bit here. A lot to get to always. It's a new week, which means we'll have new winners. Those of you that spread the word via social media, at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod, had a bunch of epic tweets that people should check out if you're on Twitter, at Ross Tucker NFL. Sponsor confirmation email winner. You know how much I love all of you guys all of the time. Big fans of those of you that take advantage of any of our sponsors, like Future Fans or Game Time or West Shore Home. Big fan. And then the YouTube shout out as well, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Other than that, let's dive into it. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Ross, what are your overall themes from Week 13 across the NFL?
Well, there's a bunch. I guess we'll start with some of the news since we did Friday's show, right? We recorded bright and early Friday morning, and since then, Matt Eberflus got fired by the Chicago Bears. Not exactly surprised by that one. I don't think it's a good look, by the way, that the Bears organization had him meet with the media and then he was fired after that. That's not what you're looking for. That's not a good look. It doesn't feel like, if I'm a Bears fan, I feel like they have their you-know-what together. And then some of the moves that were made since Friday's show, James Conner, the running back for the Cardinals, got a nice extension over the weekend. Walker Little in Jacksonville got a contract extension as well. And then in terms of the stuff that happened today, Jack, on the field, I think one of the most notable things is probably Azeez Al-Shire. You know, that hit on Trevor Lawrence, that is everything that we're trying to get out of the sport of football. That's everything we don't want to see, we don't want to do in the sport. Not a good look at all, not even a little bit, for Al-Shire, who I think will be suspended for a long time. I think the NFL will go out of their way to try to make an example out of him. And so that's something to keep an eye on. One of the other things that jumped out to me today, kickers. I mean, kickers are making 50-plus yarders all over the place, but then they're missing chippies. You know, Joey Sly and all kinds of guys missing extra points. It's just weird to see them missing these long field goals or making these long field goals, but missing the chip shots. And then ultimately, a lot of defensive touchdowns as well. Something else that jumped out to me was just all the defensive touchdowns around the NFL. Pick sixes, Leonard Williams, and the young kid for the Chargers. Those are some of the big themes that I took away from the day for sure, Jack. We got to start when we get into the rest of these games with Black Friday game. We haven't even gotten into that one yet. Jack, I don't know if I got to tell you, but the new doors are incredible. I took the red eye back Friday night. I got to see them on Saturday. They are glorious. All thanks to westshorehome.com/Ross. It is not too late for you guys to get free installation plus 18 months, no interest, no payments. Also, for showers only, not the full bath, which is glorious, but showers only, they are guaranteeing install by Christmas or it's free. This company's legit. You know how legit they are? Watch Penn State play and watch the headsets for James Franklin and all the coaches. That's the West Shore logo. westshorehome.com/Ross. Heck, you can see it Saturday night in the Big Ten championship game. westshorehome.com/Ross. westshorehome.com/Ross. I'm a big fan. You guys should definitely check it out. westshorehome.com/Ross. And after you do get new showers for Christmas, your wife will be so happy. She'll be like, you know what? Let's drink some Smirnoff vodka together. It's the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. Look, there's a lot of time to be drinking vodka over the next month, right? It's the holidays. This holiday season, when you're enjoying the game and your cocktails, please, by the way, make sure to drink responsibly. Take a minute, make a plan, never drive impaired. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff #20 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Yep. So we got the Black Friday one, which I'll break down as you adjust your camera here. The Chiefs, they are the anti-Bears in my mind. They are finding new ways to win every week. This time a 19-17 victory over the Raiders.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, they don't look good at all. The offense is still not right. They're not in rhythm. Patrick Mahomes can't find a way to link up with Xavier Worthy or even DeAndre Hopkins for that matter. They drop passes. Their opponent is absolutely in position to beat them late in the game yet again, and they don't do it. I've never seen a team in my life win as many one-score games in the fashion in which they do as the Chiefs. This time, the Raiders are already in field goal range, and the rookie center, Jackson Powers-Johnson, snaps it before Aiden O'Connell is ready, and they don't even get a chance to get a game-winning field goal attempt off. And the Chiefs win 19-17. I don't know what to make of them. I guess we all expect that they'll still be a very good team in the playoffs and a tough out, certainly. It's just uncanny ability, even when they don't play well, to win these close games late.
Next up, we move to today where Kirk Cousins, he struggled a little bit in Atlanta. They lose their lead in the NFC South with a 17-13 loss to the Chargers.
Wow. Well, first of all, Ladd McConkey had a huge game back in his hometown of Atlanta. That's always cool when a young man's able to do it, especially a rookie, right? Just dominated at Georgia for a few years, goes out to California. It'll be the only time in 4 years that he'll play back in Atlanta where he's from, and he has a big-time game. But the story of the game was Kirk Cousins. 4 interceptions. And it's not just the 4 interceptions, Jack. He had 2 of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. I mean, the pick 6 to Tarheeb Still was absolutely horrific. By the way, I don't even know much about this Tarheeb Still guy who had 2 picks, including that pick 6. He's a 5th-round pick for the Chargers, absolutely balling out. Somehow, by the way, the Falcons, who haven't been able to get pressure on the quarterback all season, they got 5 sacks of Justin Herbert. They dominated the yardage. They dominated time of possession. Bijan Robinson had a big game, but those turnovers by Cousins, the missed kick by Younghoe Koo, and the Falcons lose a game that they just had absolutely no business whatsoever losing, especially when you consider it was at home against a Chargers team that just played on Monday Night Football.
An unexpected game from the Steelers offensively in a shootout with the Bengals, winning 44-38.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. I mean, I thought Bengals-Steelers would be close. It seemingly always is. Russell Wilson, that's not only his best game as a Steeler, that's his best game as a pro football player in a long time. I mean, he was absolutely awesome to the point where, you know what? I'm gonna give him the award this week, Jack. I wasn't sure who I was gonna grant this to, but even the pick six, the interception wasn't his fault. Russell Wilson gets my 11 Oaks hungriest performance of the week. This decision by Mike Tomlin has turned into one of the best we've seen in recent NFL history. He's not only better than Justin Fields was playing, he's better than Russell Wilson was playing the last few years. This is looking now like Seattle Russell Wilson, like good Seattle Russell Wilson. If he plays like he did on Sunday the rest of the season, the Steelers are an actual threat. They're an actual contender to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC. He's played that well. So I'll give Russell Wilson the 11 Oaks hungriest performance of the week. Genuine Wagyu beef, Angus beef, heritage breed pork, free-range chicken, all locally raised, available nationwide online. Also shop in person at the Farm Store in Newville, PA, for a huge curated selection of kitchen and pantry items. Listen, family-owned, 11oaksfarms.com. Check my Facebook, facebook.com/RossTuckerNFL. I love those people, 11oaksfarms.com. Other thoughts, Jack, from the game would just be the fact that the Bengals defense is scary bad. I mean, what happened? What happened to the Bengals defense? Justin Fields comes in on third down late. What do you think he's going to do on that play? Of course Justin Fields is going to run on that play. I mean, what are they thinking? What are they doing? I have absolutely no idea. The Bengals got very fortunate, by the way, that Cam Taylor-Britt did not get called for a penalty when he took down George Pickens. Burrow keeps putting up gigantic numbers. It doesn't matter. Burrow's going to throw for like 5,000 yards this year on a losing team. And George Pickens, again for the Steelers, the good and the bad every game from that young man.
Houston, they get a much-needed win over the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road, 23-20.
Talked about it earlier. That hit by Alshire on Trevor Lawrence is the story from this game. I mean, Trevor Lawrence went into the fencing posture, which is when you know it's a really, really bad concussion. That's when it's concerning, when a guy has the fencing posture. Remember, he was already considering getting that season-ending surgery on his left shoulder. I wonder now if we'll see him again. I tend to kind of doubt it. After that, Mac Jones missed a wide-open Brian Thomas that would have given them the lead. The Texans kind of got out to a lead. Mac Jones found a way to get a couple touchdowns late to make it a game, but then Joe Mixon and the Texans were able to salt it away with a win they absolutely had to have.
The Vikings, they have a statement win. They came back to beat the Cardinals. They moved to 10-2 with a 23-22 victory.
Man, did the Arizona Cardinals blow this game. I mean, they totally dominated the action. That's one of the other themes, I would say, Jack, from the Sunday that was in the NFL. Just teams blowing it, even though they dominated the action, they were the better team. I mean, that happened a bunch. We talked about it earlier with Atlanta. The Cardinals were 1 for 6 in the red zone against the Vikings. Settled for field goals. Ryland even missed field goals. You know, even when they had the lead, Kyler Murray had multiple YOLO throws, which I have no idea what he was doing. One was a pick. One was intentional grounding. That was a game that the Cardinals, when they don't win the NFC West, they'll look back on that one and say, that was the one. I mean, Darnold did not play great, but he helped them ball out late to come from behind. That, you know, so many swing games. You know, these next couple games we're going to get to were swing games as well, but that was a huge swing game in both the NFC North and the NFC West for both those teams.
Indianapolis, they went for 2 in the closing seconds, and they got it. They beat the Patriots 25-24.
Another one. This is at least the third game we're talking about where the Patriots were the better team. I mean, Patriots had like 150 more yards of offense. They dominated time of possession, but the missed opportunities. I mean, Hunter Henry has the ball, and he lets the ball go off his body for interception. Joey Sly missed, I think it was a 25-yard field goal, Is that like the minimum length field goal? What was it? Was it the 3-yard line? 25-yard field goal, and he misses it? And then even with all that, they still have the lead. They're still up by a touchdown late, and the Colts, 19 plays, 90 yards to go in for the touchdown, and I absolutely love the decision because Shane Steichen, the coach for the Colts, he knew they were getting dominated. He knew the Patriots had been the better team, so he goes for 2, and if you're going to go for 2 and you have a 255-pound hammer of a quarterback, kind of like Josh Allen in Buffalo, that's what you do. You run him. Anthony Richardson plowed through, and the Colts got a touchdown and a 2-point conversion and a win. They had to have gutsy game-winning drive from Anthony Richardson. But again, a very much up-and-down performance from him in terms of throwing the football. He had another one of those horrific stat lines. Drake May, by the way, for the Patriots, he was fantastic. Again, absolutely fantastic yet again, and yet it was in a losing effort.
Continuing on the trend you're mentioning about teams losing games they should have won, Seattle, they came back to beat the Jets in a 26-21 road win.
The Jets, man. The Jets are like the biggest comedy show going. It's just unbelievable. They had 8 penalties in the fourth quarter. I've never even heard of that. 8 penalties by one team in one quarter. They had the lead almost the entire game. Somehow Leonard Williams, who's over 300 pounds, had like an 80-yard pick six. I was almost going to give him the 11 Oaks hungriest performance. The Seahawks special teams were terrible in this game. But you know what the truth is? The truth is that Aaron Rodgers is at the stage of his career where he struggles on throws over 10 yards. And basically, there's no other way around it. He was clearly outplayed by Geno Smith. What must that be like for Jets fans? I mean, that was a home game. You're sitting there watching Geno Smith outplay the 2-time MVP that you put all your hopes on. Just a bad loss again for the Jets. And another swing game, right? Like, think about that. The Jets should have won that game, and the Seahawks should have lost, and then the Cardinals should have won. And the Cardinals would be in first place in the NFC West. Instead, the inverse happened, and the Seahawks are all alone in first place in that division. Who would have thought that would have been the case?
Next up, Washington. They dominated Tennessee from the jump in a 42-19 blowout win.
Well, we've been waiting. You know, a lot of us, maybe myself included, kind of thought that, man, there might be a real issue here with there might be an issue there with these guys because it kind of felt like, you know, the Commanders have been real bad as of late. Are they done? Evidently not. The Commanders' offense was on fire all game, both Jaden Daniels and the run game with Bijan Robinson. They were awesome. I mean, absolutely awesome. I don't know what happened because I just did the Texans-Titans game last week for CBS, and the Titans' defense is really good. Yet they couldn't stop the Commanders all game to save their life. They were an absolute mess in every way in the first half. I mean, it was ugly, real ugly for the Titans in the first half. The only thing that the Titans had going for them after all those fumbles, punts, just a comedy of error, penalties, false starts, everything the Titans went through, the only positive after that was the touchdown catches from Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. He's got one of the craziest stat lines I've ever seen. It's like he's got like 10 touchdowns on 20 catches or something like that, which is just absolutely nuts at this point. But the big takeaway, look, the Titans are already done, right? The big takeaway from this game for sure is just that the Commanders are back. You know, we were wondering, are they going to fade? No, they're not going to fade. That was the type of performance they needed. Jaden Daniels, 25 of 30, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. They're in a much better spot now after that performance.
The Bucs, they get back to 500 with a big 26-23 win over the Carolina Panthers, who look pretty improved with Bryce Young.
You know what? Bryce Young made some incredible plays in that game. I mean, he had one scramble, and then he threw a ball on an out route, which was awesome. He ran for a touchdown. I mean, he did some really positive things. If I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, I'm starting once again to think that maybe there's a chance Bryce Young's the guy. Maybe they don't have to draft another quarterback this year. That's really what the entire rest of this season will be about. It'll be whether or not they should go ahead and they should play Bryce Young or have him be the quarterback next year or not. I mean, even late, right? Even the convincing go-ahead drive with Adam Thielen, who, by the way, I thought he caught that other touchdown pass that they didn't give him earlier in the game. I thought he caught that one. I really did. That was a tough break for Carolina that they didn't count that one. But I will say this. I think that was the positive for sure from the Carolina Panthers, and yet the Bucs still won the game because Bucky Irving was incredible. Really, the whole game he was incredible. I give him a lot of credit. I think he's got more yards than anybody, including Saquon Barkley, or maybe other than Saquon Barkley, these last couple weeks. He had 24 carries, 152 yards, plus he had 3 catches for 33 yards. That's really the guy that the Bucs are leaning on right now. As Baker Mayfield, by the way, now 4-0 against the Carolina Panthers, one of his former teams. Baker got hurt, came back in the game, and did what he did. The biggest play of the game, though, it looked like Carolina was going to get the field goal, but Chuba Hubbard fumbled in overtime, and the Bucs made him pay. It didn't help either. What shouldn't even have gone to overtime with Eddie Pinheiro missing those field goals like he did.
The Rams, they do enough to beat the Saints, who did lose Taysom Hill potentially to a season-ending injury, 21-14.
Well, you know how I feel about Taysom Hill. That hurt. That hurt a lot to see him suffer that injury. He was in the midst, by the way, of having an awesome game and playing really, really well when he got hurt in that game. You know, they were shut out. The Rams were shut out in the first half by a Saints defense that played extremely well in the first half of that game. I mean, they were not able to in any way move the ball. But then the second half, I'll give Sean McVay a lot of credit. Second half, they just kept pounding, and they were able to run the ball all over the Saints. Kyron Williams, 104 yards on 15 carries. And then a lot of times it was Matthew Stafford throwing darts. I thought Matthew Stafford got hurt in the game, but he was finding Puka Nacua. They went 3 for 3 in the red zone to score those 3 touchdowns. I think it might have been the first 3 drives of the second half to go up 21-14. They found a chance late, did the Saints. They scored a touchdown to make it 21-14. They moved the ball again. They actually moved the ball pretty well all game. You know, Kamara ended up having 112 yards on 23 carries. Derek Carr put the ball, Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropped it in the bucket, but ultimately on the 4th down late, they were not able to get it done. Jared Verse made the big stop, got the major pressure. He had 7 more quarterback pressures on 29 rushes. He has been extremely impressive.
The Eagles, they get a big win on the road in Baltimore, beating the Ravens 24-19.
That was a wild game. I mean, that was a fun game to watch as the Ravens got out to a 9-0 lead, and it looked like the Ravens had a chance to dominate the action. The thing is, though, you still never really feel like the Eagles are out of it in those situations because they're just so talented. Ultimately, they got some breaks. One break was Justin Tucker. I mean, Jack, this is a problem now. Justin Tucker's an official problem now. John Harbaugh said after the game that they're not going to cut him or get some other quarterback, but they got to think about something because it's bad with what's going on with Justin Tucker. It affects the game. It affects their game plan. The other thing that affects the game is the way in which the Eagles wear people down. It's that big offensive line. They just keep pounding you all game, And then eventually, it's like a dam, Jack, that eventually will break, with Saquon Barkley breaking a big one. They also seem to be able to get the clutch plays from A.J. Brown whenever they need it. And ultimately, what a day for Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator. 12 points? They gave up 12 points until the Ravens scored a late touchdown with Lamar Jackson. I mean, they did a good job of containing him for the most part. The only people that really killed him was the tight ends. The tight ends did a terrific job. That was about it.
And the game you're at, Josh Allen, his MVP candidacy grows following a snowy beatdown of the 49ers.
Last but not least, Bills, Niners. You know, the Niners, they got off to a good start. They got a 3-and-out. They were running the ball well with McCaffrey. They were moving the ball down the field. And then they kicked a field goal. Okay. Then they were going to get another 3-and-out, but this illegal contact on Charvarius Ward changed the whole game. After that, the Niners were cooked. Josh Allen didn't even have to do that much. It was mainly James Cook on the ground, a little Ray Davis. It was so fun to watch, though, in the snow, Jack, and to be here. These people are incredible. They're diehards. It was snowing the whole time. They never left. They were here the whole time. The food, by the way, was phenomenal. I had this sausage cheese sandwich they had before the game. I had wings at halftime that were delicious. Another A from the Bills from a press box food standpoint. The Niners, McCaffrey got hurt. That was a disaster. Everybody made mistakes. Juszczyk, Deebo Samuel, Purdy, as the Niners go back to the drawing board. Other than that, what a phenomenal Sunday of football. Wish me luck on my drive back in the snow. Other than that, I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out to myfrontpagestory.com, backofficescheduler.com, pizzaboybrewing.com, humanetnyc.com, and Sporticulture.